Who's here now? Katie McFarland is with us. All right, Katie, seems like Antony Blinken was the one covering up the Hunter Biden laptop story. Does this affect his work now as Secretary of State?
Well, you would think yes, because he should be discredited on integrity grounds. The fact is he's been so incompetent that it's hard to think it gets much worse. I mean, he's the Secretary of State who will preside over America's slipping to less than superpower status. You know, that the Chinese global world order is going to take place on Antony Blinken's watch. But if you think about what these guys were doing, so Antony Blinken, former Obama administration official, Biden administration hopeful official, he organizes an election interference campaign using the senior-most intelligence officials of the United States, organizes them to sign up to something which they all knew was a complete lie and fabrication because they were all looking for jobs in the next administration. And to me, this is the deep state run amok. These people all were willing to sacrifice their integrity at the altar of their own personal ambition. And if they get away with it, they got away with it, remember, in 2016 with the Russia hoax, election interference, claiming that the Russians interfered in the election. Now they get away with it again in the 2020 election, where they claim, well, a Hunter Biden laptop was nothing to see here. It's again Russian disinformation. You have to wonder, if these people are never held accountable for this, what are they going to do in the next election? What's the plan then? How are they going to work with the deep state, the media, and the Democrats to make sure that President Biden wins re-election?
Has Susan Rice got anything to do with this? Because it was announced this morning that she's leaving the White House at the end of next month.
Yes.
What's she got to do with it?
Well, here's the thing. So Susan Rice was in the Obama administration, and everyone thought would be the Secretary of State in Obama's second term. She couldn't be because of the whole Benghazi, remember the Benghazi affair, and she was really called out for her incompetence. So the Obama administration leaves. The Biden administration comes in. They want a role for Susan Rice, in part because she probably had a lot to do with the Russia hoax, in the previous administration. So what do? They don't give her a job which requires Senate confirmation. They knew she would have a hard time, so they make her a senior White House advisor. Now, fast forward to a second Biden term if he has it. What's likely to happen to Susan Rice? If Democrats control the Senate, I think it's highly likely they will nominate her for Secretary of something or other, Secretary of State or some other high government confirmed position.
What a dreadful series of failed policy moves. Yeah. It's actually on foreign policy. The European foreign policy chief wants Europeans, navies, to send warships to patrol the Taiwan Strait. Why are they saying this now?
Okay, so here's the significance of that. The Taiwan Strait is 180 kilometers wide, and it is international waterways. That means vessels, commercial vessels, fishing vessels, military vessels from any country in the world have the right of free access. Same with airplanes overflying the Taiwan Strait. What China has done is said, no, Taiwan Strait, it's not an international waterway, it's an internal Chinese domestic waterway. And therefore, we control Taiwan, we control mainland China, we control the 180 kilometers between the two. The European Union is talking, and now remember, the European Union doesn't have a military, doesn't have a navy, doesn't have an army. It's an economic unit. And what the European Union leader is saying, well, we want our member states to send their own navies through this 180-kilometer waterway because we want to preserve the notion that this is an international waterway through which any country can go. It's not owned by the Chinese. Now, China is trying to chip away at all of that, either by intimidation, telling countries don't send your vessels in, or by strafing them when they come too near, aircraft come too near that region. China wants to either by hook or crook claim that as internal Chinese territory because then it makes their acquisition of Taiwan, either by intimidation or invasion or some kind of military or economic action, far easier for China. Understood. And once China controls Taiwan, China controls the world economy because Taiwan makes 97% of our chips. It's the South China Sea. It's the most important maritime trade route in the world. And if China controls all of that, as Joe Biden would say, game over.
There's a brutal civil war raging in Sudan. Can you give me 30 seconds on what is America's interest in that conflict?
Well, we have 19,000 American citizens there who have been left,
Yep.
haven't been evacuated, and it's a brutal civil war. And how are we getting our American citizens out? The diplomats just left. The military has just left. There's nobody there to save those Americans. The second thing is that Russia and China want to take over that part of Africa, the Horn of Africa, because it allows them to have enormous influence over oil and also the trade route of the Strait of Hormuz and that part of the Middle East.
And Anthony Blinken is the Secretary of State as we speak. Got it. All right, Katie McFarlane, there you go. Katie McFarlane, thank you very much indeed. Now,